In the heart of a galaxy far beyond human comprehension, where stars shimmered like diamonds scattered across velvet blackness, there existed a planet named Xylora. This world was not just breathtakingly beautiful but also home to an advanced civilization known for its elegance and grace, the Xylorians. Among them stood Alyra Taven, the crown princess of Xylora. With skin that glowed faintly under starlight, hair cascading in waves of silver, and eyes as deep and mysterious as cosmic nebulas, she was considered one of the most stunning beings in all the universe. Alyra's life had always been mapped out before her birth. Royal duties, diplomatic missions, alliances with other interstellar kingdoms, all leading to a marriage arranged by her parents to secure peace between their people and another powerful alien race. But Alyra yearned for something more than duty. She craved adventure, freedom, and perhaps even love, a concept foreign to many Xylorian royals but deeply rooted in stories whispered among the stars. One day, while exploring ancient archives hidden within the palace library, Alyra stumbled upon Tales of Earth, a small blue-green planet teeming with life forms called humans. These creatures were fascinatingly different from anything she'd ever encountered. Frail yet resilient, flawed yet capable of extraordinary acts of kindness or bravery. Intrigued, she decided to embark on a secret journey to this distant realm, hoping it might offer her answers, or at least some excitement outside her predetermined destiny. Meanwhile on Earth, a young man named Selim lived a quiet life in a sleepy coastal town. He wasn't particularly remarkable by human standards. He worked odd jobs around the harbor, tinkered with old machinery he found washed ashore, and spent his evenings gazing up at the night sky, dreaming of places unknown. What set him apart, however, was his insatiable curiosity and knack for solving problems others deemed impossible. Whether it was fixing a broken boat engine or deciphering cryptic messages left behind by passing satellites, Selim approached every challenge with determination and wit. Little did either of them know how their paths would cross, and change both their lives forever. It began on a stormy evening when lightning streaked across the heavens like jagged scars. Alyra's sleek spacecraft descended silently through Earth's atmosphere, cloaked in technology so advanced it rendered her invisible to radar systems. She landed near the edge of Selim's town, choosing a secluded spot surrounded by dense forest. Her mission was simple: observe humanity, gather data, and return home without interference. Yet fate rarely adheres to plans. The next morning, Selim woke early, drawn inexplicably toward the woods despite the lingering rain. As he wandered deeper into the trees, he noticed something strange, a metallic object half buried in the mud. Curiosity piqued, he approached cautiously, only to find what looked like a piece of alien tech fused with fragments of earthbound debris. It pulsed faintly, humming with energy unlike anything he'd ever seen. Before he could examine it further, a voice startled him. "What are you doing?" Selim spun around to see a figure standing amidst the mist. At first glance, she appeared almost ethereal, her luminous skin glowing softly against the gray backdrop. Her silver hair framed features too perfect to be real. For a moment, he thought he must be dreaming. Words failed him as he tried to explain himself. Finally, he gestured lamely toward the device. "I found this thing. Do you know what it is?" Alyra hesitated, weighing whether revealing herself would jeopardize her mission. But there was something about this human. His earnest expression, the way his hands trembled slightly with excitement, that made her lower her guard. "That belongs to me," she said simply, stepping closer. "You're kidding." Selim blinked, then laughed nervously. "So, let me get this straight. You're not from here." "No," Alyra replied, quirking an eyebrow. "And neither is whatever brought us together." Over the following days, their interactions grew less guarded. Alyra explained, in carefully vague terms, that she was studying Earth's culture, while Selim introduced her to everything from coffee shops to late-night stargazing sessions. To his surprise, she seemed genuinely intrigued by mundane things, how humans expressed emotions through art, music, and even food. In turn, she shared snippets of her own world, describing Xylora's crystalline cities and bioluminescent forests. Their bond deepened quickly, fueled by mutual fascination and a shared sense of wonder. But complications arose sooner than either anticipated. One afternoon, while they explored the cliffs overlooking the ocean, Alyra received a transmission from her ship. A fleet of reconnaissance drones had detected unauthorized activity nearby. Panic surged through her veins. They weren't supposed to interfere with local populations, much less form attachments. If her superiors discovered her relationship with Selim, the consequences could be dire. "What's wrong?" Selim asked, noticing her sudden tension. "Nothing," she lied, though her voice betrayed her unease. "Just trouble back home." He frowned, sensing she wasn't telling him everything. "Look, if there's something going on, maybe I can help. You don't have to face it alone." For a moment, Alyra considered confiding in him fully. But pride and fear held her back. Instead, she forced a smile. "Thank you, but this isn't your fight." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden light over the waves, Selim reached out and took her hand. "Maybe not. But I'm in it now, whether you like it or not." Their newfound connection brought laughter and joy, but it also attracted unwanted attention. Unbeknownst to them, someone else had taken notice of Alyra's presence on Earth, a rival faction of aliens who sought to exploit her vulnerability for political gain. Led by Varnock, a cunning and ruthless warlord, they tracked her movements using stolen surveillance technology. When they learned of her growing attachment to Selim, they saw an opportunity to manipulate events to their advantage. Late one night, as Selim tinkered with the alien device in his workshop, a shadow fell across the doorway. Before he could react, armed figures burst in, pinning him down. "Where is she?" one demanded, his voice distorted by a helmet that concealed his menacing visage. "Who?" Selim stammered, though his racing heartbeat gave away his knowledge. "The princess," the intruder growled. "Tell us where she is, or we'll make sure you regret keeping secrets." Fear gripped Selim, but he refused to betray Alyra. Just as the situation seemed hopeless, a brilliant flash of light filled the room. Alyra materialized, wielding a weapon forged from Xylorian crystal. With precision honed by years of training, she disarmed the attackers, forcing them to retreat. Though victorious, the encounter left both her and Selim shaken. "They won't stop coming," Alyra warned as they regrouped outside. "Varnock knows I'm here now, and he'll do anything to capture me." "Then we'll fight back," Selim declared, surprising even himself with his resolve. "Together." Alyra studied him, torn between admiration and concern. "You don't understand what you're up against. These aren't ordinary enemies." "And you don't understand humans," he countered with a grin. "We're stubborn like that." Their alliance solidified overnight. Selim used his mechanical skills to modify Alyra's equipment, adapting it for use against Varnock's forces. Meanwhile, she taught him basic self-defense techniques and provided insights into alien tactics. Despite the looming threat, moments of levity punctuated their preparations. During one such instance, Selim accidentally triggered a holographic display meant to simulate combat scenarios, resulting in a comical simulation where Alyra ended up fighting off cartoonish versions of Varnock's minions. They collapsed in fits of laughter, momentarily forgetting the danger they faced. Yet humor couldn't mask the gravity of their situation entirely. Days turned into weeks, and the attacks grew fiercer. Each skirmish pushed them closer to their limits, testing not only their abilities but also their trust in each other. Through it all, Alyra found herself increasingly conflicted. On one hand, her mission required detachment. On the other, her feelings for Selim grew stronger with every passing moment. She knew returning to Xylora would mean leaving him behind, but staying meant risking everything she held dear. One fateful evening, after repelling yet another ambush, Alyra finally voiced her fears. "What happens when this is over?" she asked quietly, staring at the stars above. "When Varnock is defeated, will you still want me here? Or will I just be a memory?" Selim placed a hand on her shoulder, his touch warm and reassuring. "You're not going anywhere, not unless you choose to. Whatever comes next, we'll figure it out together." Touched by his sincerity, Alyra leaned into him, allowing herself a rare moment of vulnerability. For the first time in her life, she dared to hope that happiness might truly be within reach. Back on Xylora, news of Alyra's prolonged absence reached her mother, Queen Sarathia. Known for her wisdom and unyielding dedication to tradition, the Queen summoned her advisors to discuss the matter. Holographic projections flickered to life around the council chamber, displaying fragmented reports of Alyra's activities on Earth. The Queen listened intently, her expression unreadable as details emerged about her daughter's interactions with a human male. "What is the meaning of this?" Sarathia demanded, her voice cutting through the murmurs of her counselors. "She was sent to observe, not to fraternize." One advisor, a stooped elder named Kalen, stepped forward cautiously. "Your Majesty, it appears Princess Elira has formed a connection with this individual. His name is Selim, and though he lacks noble lineage, his actions suggest a resourcefulness uncommon among humans." "A connection?" Sarathia echoed, arching a delicate brow. "Explain." Kalen hesitated, aware of treading dangerous ground. "From what our operatives have gathered, they've worked together to thwart several attempts by hostile factions to capture Her Highness. Their bond seems strong." The Queen rose from her throne, pacing slowly as she absorbed this information. "Strong enough to defy centuries of protocol? Enough to risk war with neighboring systems should word spread of such an alliance." Her tone softened slightly as she turned to gaze out the window at Xylora's shimmering landscape. "My daughter has always been headstrong, but this is unprecedented. Tell me, Kalen, does she appear happy?" The question caught the advisor off guard. After a pause, he nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty. Very much so." Sarathia exhaled deeply, torn between her role as sovereign and her instincts as a mother. "Happiness is no excuse for recklessness," she murmured, more to herself than anyone else. "But neither can I ignore the possibility that she has found something worth fighting for." As the council deliberated further, whispers of discontent rippled through the palace halls. Some courtiers viewed Elira's actions as a betrayal of Xylorian values, while others secretly admired her courage. Among these dissenting voices was Prince Drevik, a distant cousin who harbored ambitions of claiming the throne for himself. Seeing an opportunity to undermine Elira's position, he began spreading rumors of her alleged misconduct, painting her relationship with Selim as a scandalous affront to their people. Word eventually reached Elira via encrypted transmissions sent by loyal friends within the palace. Reading the messages, she felt a pang of guilt mixed with defiance. "They don't understand," she told Selim during one of their rare moments of respite. "To them, I'm abandoning my responsibilities. But I'm not. I'm discovering who I am beyond titles and expectations." Selim squeezed her hand reassuringly. "Then show them. Prove that being true to yourself doesn't mean giving up your duty, it means finding a better way to fulfill it." Inspired by his words, Elira resolved to confront her mother directly, not to beg forgiveness, but to advocate for a new path forward. However, before she could act, disaster struck. A massive invasion force led by Varnock descended upon Earth, intent on capturing Elira once and for all. Their arrival plunged the planet into chaos, forcing Selim and Elira to rally allies both human and alien in defense of their shared home. Amidst the ensuing battle, sacrifices were made, bonds were tested, and revelations came to light that would alter the course of countless lives, including those of a queen and her rebellious daughter. In the midst of the chaos, Elira fought with a ferocity born of desperation. Every strike of her crystalline blade, every pulse of energy from her modified weapons, was fueled by the need to protect not just herself but the fragile future she had begun to build with Selim. Around her, humans rallied alongside unexpected allies, rogue aliens disillusioned with Varnock's tyranny, sympathetic Xylorian exiles, and even local wildlife responding instinctively to the threat invading their domain. Selim, meanwhile, proved himself invaluable in ways no one could have predicted. Using his ingenuity, he rigged makeshift defenses from scrap metal and salvaged tech, creating traps that ensnared entire squads of enemy drones. When a critical shield generator malfunctioned, endangering their stronghold, he dove headfirst into the fray, repairing it mid-battle while dodging laser fire. His bravery earned him the respect of seasoned warriors, including Elira's most trusted lieutenant, Kales, who muttered grudgingly, "For a human, he's not half bad." Despite their efforts, the tide of battle shifted dangerously against them. Varnock himself entered the fray, towering over the battlefield in a monstrous mech suit bristling with weaponry. With each step, the ground shook, sending shockwaves through the defenders' ranks. Elira squared off against him, her movements swift and precise, but even her skill couldn't match the sheer destructive power of his machine. Sparks flew as their weapons clashed, and though she managed to land several blows, The damage seemed negligible compared to the carnage Varnock unleashed. Selim watched in horror as Elira was thrown backward by a concussive blast, slamming into a crumbling wall. Without hesitation, he sprinted toward her, dodging falling debris and enemy fire. "Are you okay?" he shouted, helping her to her feet. "I've been better," she gasped, clutching her side. Blood trickled from a wound, though whether physical pain or emotional anguish weighed heavier on her remained unclear. "We can't keep this up. We're outnumbered." "Then we improvise," Selim replied grimly. He glanced at the damaged shield generator behind them, then back at Varnock's lumbering form. An idea sparked in his mind, one reckless enough to work. "Cover me." Before Elira could protest, he darted toward the generator, weaving through the chaos with reckless abandon. Bullets whizzed past him, narrowly missing their mark, but he pressed on, driven by sheer determination. Reaching the control panel, he began reconfiguring its settings, rerouting power to create a feedback loop that would overload the system. "What are you doing?" Elira demanded, fending off attackers as she moved to support him. "Turning their strength against them," Selim yelled over the din. "Just give me 30 seconds. Time slowed as the seconds ticked away. Elira fought fiercely, her blade slicing through adversaries with practiced ease, but the strain showed in her faltering steps and labored breaths. Finally, Selim gave the signal. "Now!" With a deafening roar, the generator exploded, sending a surge of electromagnetic energy rippling outward. Enemy drones sputtered and crashed, their circuits fried, while Varnock's mech suit seized up, immobilizing him. Cheers erupted from the defenders as the invaders scrambled to retreat, their leader incapacitated and their forces decimated. Breathing heavily, Elira limped over to Selim, who slumped against a pile of rubble, his face streaked with soot and sweat. "You crazy idiot," she said, though her tone carried more affection than reproach. "You could have gotten yourself killed." "Yeah, well, someone had to save the day," he quipped weakly, managing a lopsided grin. "Besides, I figured you owed me one." She rolled her eyes but pulled him into a tight embrace, ignoring the sting of her injuries. For a brief moment, they allowed themselves to bask in the victory, their hearts pounding in sync. But the respite was short-lived. From the smoldering wreckage of Varnock's mech suit emerged the warlord himself, battered but unbowed. His crimson eyes burned with fury as he locked onto Elira and Selim. "This isn't over," he snarled, raising a handheld weapon charged with lethal energy. "Not until I drag you back to Zylora in chains." Before either could react, a blinding beam of light engulfed the battlefield. When it faded, a sleek Zylorian cruiser hovered overhead, its hull gleaming like polished obsidian. A booming voice echoed from its speakers. "Stand down, Varnock. By order of Queen Serathia, you are hereby under arrest for crimes against the Galactic Accord." Shock rippled through the crowd as the cruiser descended, deploying troops clad in ceremonial armor. Among them strode Queen Serathia herself, her regal presence commanding silence. Behind her trailed a contingent of elite guards, their weapons trained on Varnock, who sneered but lowered his weapon. "Mother," Elira breathed, stepping forward uncertainly. "What are you doing here?" Queen Serathia regarded her daughter with a mixture of sternness and relief. "Ending this nonsense before it escalates further," she replied curtly. Then softer, "and ensuring my daughter doesn't throw away her life, or her throne, for misplaced ideals." Selim shifted uncomfortably, feeling acutely aware of his place in this grand tableau. He expected disdain, perhaps even outright hostility, but instead, the queen turned to him with an appraising gaze. "You must be Selim," she said, her tone neutral yet curious. "The human who has caused quite the stir among my people." "Yes, your majesty," he replied, bowing awkwardly. "I didn't mean to cause trouble. I just—" "Trouble?" Serathia interrupted, a faint smile playing on her lips. "No, young man, you've done far more than that. You've reminded us all of something we've forgotten, that courage and loyalty transcend species." Her words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Elira stared at her mother, searching for hidden meanings, while Selim struggled to process the unexpected praise. Before anyone could speak further, Varnock lunged suddenly, breaking free of his captors. Chaos erupted anew as he made a desperate bid for escape, forcing everyone to scramble. In the ensuing confusion, Alyra and Selim found themselves separated from the queen and her entourage. Together, they pursued Varnock into the dense forest surrounding the battlefield, determined to finish what they had started. Each step brought them closer to answers, and to choices that would shape not only their destinies but the fate of two worlds. The forest was alive with shadows, the remnants of battle fading behind them as Alyra and Selim chased Varnock deeper into the tangled wilderness. Branches clawed at their faces, and the ground beneath their feet grew slick with mud from the earlier storm. Despite his injuries, Varnock moved with unnerving speed, his crimson eyes glowing like embers in the darkness. "Stay close," Alyra whispered, her voice tense but steady. She gripped her weapon tightly, the faint hum of its energy a comforting presence in the eerie silence. Beside her, Selim nodded, clutching a makeshift blaster he'd salvaged during the fight. Though he lacked formal combat training, his resolve burned brighter than ever. They finally caught up to Varnock near a clearing where an ancient tree stood, its gnarled roots twisting outward like skeletal fingers. The warlord turned to face them, his expression twisted with rage and desperation. "You think you've won?" he spat, raising his weapon. "Even if I fall here, your defiance will tear Zylora apart. Your mother's precious order is already crumbling." Alyra stepped forward, her gaze unwavering. "My choices are my own, Varnock. And they won't destroy Zylora, they'll save it. From tyrants like you." Varnock laughed bitterly, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Before he could respond, Selim acted. Using a trick he'd learned while repairing machinery, he fired a concentrated burst of electromagnetic energy toward Varnock's weapon, disabling it instantly. The warlord roared in frustration, lunging at them with brute force. The ensuing struggle was chaotic and brutal. Alyra fought with precision, her movements fluid and calculated, while Selim relied on instinct and quick thinking. Together, they managed to disarm Varnock completely, leaving him vulnerable. But instead of delivering a final blow, Alyra hesitated. "This isn't about revenge," she said firmly, her voice cutting through the tension. "It's about justice, for everyone." With that, she activated a containment field device she'd carried since leaving Zylora, trapping Varnock inside a shimmering barrier. He pounded against the invisible walls, shouting curses, but his fate was sealed. Exhausted, Alyra sank to her knees, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Selim knelt beside her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. For a long moment, they simply sat there, letting the weight of everything settle over them. Back on Zylora, Queen Sarathia awaited their return with mixed emotions. News of Varnock's capture had spread quickly, and the populace was divided. Some hailed Alyra as a hero who had thwarted a dangerous threat. Others condemned her for breaking tradition by allying herself with a human. Whispers of rebellion stirred among the nobility, led by Prince Drevik, who saw an opportunity to seize power. When Alyra and Selim arrived alongside the queen's entourage, the atmosphere in the palace was electric. Courtiers gathered in the grand hall, their expressions ranging from curiosity to outright hostility. Alyra strode forward confidently, though her heart raced beneath her calm exterior. Selim followed closely, feeling distinctly out of place among the opulent surroundings. Queen Sarathia addressed the assembly, her voice ringing clear and authoritative. "Today marks a turning point for Zylora. My daughter has faced challenges none of us could have foreseen, yet she has emerged victorious, not just over our enemies, but over doubt and fear. She has shown us that strength lies not in clinging to old ways, but in embracing change when it serves the greater good." Her words silenced the murmurs, drawing astonished looks from many. Alyra stared at her mother, tears welling in her eyes. It was a rare moment of vulnerability from the usually stoic queen, one that spoke volumes about her love and pride. But before anything more could be said, Prince Drevik stepped forward, his sneer evident even beneath his polished demeanor. "Your Majesty, forgive me, but this is madness. Allowing a human to stand beside our princess? To influence our decisions? It undermines everything we stand for." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, but Alyra raised her hand, silencing them. "If standing beside someone who values courage, loyalty, and kindness makes me less Zylorian, then perhaps it's time we redefine what being Xylorian truly means. Selim risked his life to protect not only me but also this planet. He embodies qualities we should all aspire to, regardless of species. The room fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. Slowly, some began to nod, while others shifted uncomfortably. Even Drevik seemed taken aback by her eloquence. Queen Sarathia stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on Elira's shoulder. Then let us move forward together, not bound by outdated rules, but united by shared values. Let this day mark the beginning of a new era for Xylora, one where alliances are forged not by bloodlines, but by mutual respect and understanding. Cheers erupted throughout the hall, echoing off the crystalline walls. For the first time in centuries, hope filled the air, mingling with the soft glow of starlight filtering through the domed ceiling. In the weeks that followed, Xylora underwent profound changes. Under Elira's guidance, reforms were implemented to foster cooperation between humans and aliens, paving the way for a more inclusive society. Selim became an ambassador of sorts, bridging the gap between Earth and Xylora, teaching both sides about each other's cultures and strengths. As for Elira and Selim, their bond deepened further, transcending boundaries once thought insurmountable. They faced challenges, of course, prejudice, political intrigue, and the occasional bout of homesickness, but their love remained steadfast, a beacon of hope in uncertain times. One evening, as they strolled through the bioluminescent gardens of the royal palace, Elira turned to Selim with a mischievous smile. "Do you remember when we first met? You thought I was kidding about being an alien." Selim chuckled, shaking his head. "I still can't believe how much has changed since then. Sometimes I wonder if I'm dreaming." "Well, if you are," Elira teased, "don't wake up anytime soon." They shared a laugh, gazing up at the stars that connected their worlds. In that moment, surrounded by beauty and possibility, they knew their journey was far from over, but whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. And so, under the watchful light of distant suns, two hearts beat as one, proving that love, courage, and unity could overcome even the vastest divides. Years passed, and the bond between Elira and Selim only grew stronger. Their partnership became a symbol of unity not just for Xylora, but for countless worlds across the galaxy. The reforms they championed transformed Xyloran society into one that celebrated diversity and collaboration, inspiring neighboring planets to follow suit. In time, Queen Sarathia stepped down from her throne, passing the mantle to Elira, who ruled with wisdom and compassion. Selim stood by her side as her consort, his unique perspective earning him respect among even the most skeptical nobles. Together, they worked tirelessly to ensure peace and prosperity for all. Their love blossomed further when they welcomed their first child, a daughter named Lyria, whose shimmering silver hair hinted at her Xylorian heritage while her curious, adventurous spirit mirrored Selim's. She was soon joined by a younger brother, Kalen, whose laughter filled the halls of the palace and brought joy to everyone around them. Life wasn't without its challenges, of course. There were moments of tension, negotiations that tested their patience, and the occasional bout of homesickness for Earth. But through it all, Elira and Selim leaned on each other, their partnership unwavering. On warm evenings, the family would gather in the bioluminescent gardens, watching the stars twinkle above. Elira would tell stories of her adventures on Earth, while Selim shared tales of human ingenuity and resilience. Lyria and Kalen listened eagerly, dreaming of the day they too might explore the universe. One such evening, as the moons of Xylora cast a soft glow over the garden, Selim wrapped an arm around Elira, pulling her close. "You know," he said with a grin, "when I woke up that stormy morning years ago, I never imagined I'd end up here, with you, with this life." Elira smiled, resting her head against his shoulder. "And I never thought I'd find someone who could make me believe in happiness again. You've given me more than I ever dreamed possible." As their children played nearby, laughing under the starlit sky, Elira and Selim exchanged a quiet glance, knowing their journey had been worth every challenge. They had built a life filled with love, purpose, and hope, a legacy that would endure for generations to come. Under the watchful eyes of the cosmos, their story became one of legend, proof that even the most unlikely connections could bridge galaxies and redefine what it meant to belong. And so, surrounded by family and light, they lived happily ever after, their hearts forever intertwined like the threads of destiny itself.